I'm Bosun Lewis. I'm a legal counsel here and I'm from the United Kingdom. Most people would find it exciting to work in London, and I did. But as a Londoner, there was a long commute to work and, spend 2 hours on the tube going to work and 2 hours coming back. And it kind of took your energy out of the day. Whereas here, my distance to work is not that far. And then when I get to work, people appear to be more kind of, up for the working day, not as stressed. So I always come to work not as stressed as I used to come to work when I was in the UK. Then when I'm in work, as a lawyer, I find that as an in-house lawyer, I find that my colleagues really value my opinion. I've never got so many thank yous from people doing my job before. I didn't get that many thank yous in the UK. Maybe I wasn't as good in the UK as I am now, but nevertheless, I'm getting a lot of appreciation for the legal advice that I give to people here. So I think I enjoy my working life here in Saudi. I started in Saudi Arabia during the COVID era. So in that time, I get quite a lot of vacation days, but I couldn't go abroad. So I used that as an opportunity to see the country. And Taif was one of the places that I found on Instagram. And I used Visit Saudi to find different places, including Taif. And I went there and I didn't even believe I was in Saudi Arabia when I got there. People's initial reaction or initial thoughts of Saudi that it's desert and they don't know much about it. But when I got to Taif, there were mountains. I saw monkeys there. I was like, is this Saudi Arabia? I went hiking in Taif. It was a little bit colder in Taif than it is in the Eastern Province. So that really opened my eyes to the fact that, wow, there's actually multiple different types of landscapes and different environments in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, Taif was one of the first places that I got to, and I thought, wow, I think I could enjoy my time here in Saudi. I was in Tabuk with a tour guide, and he was very hospitable to the extent that he asked me to go to his he invited me to his brother's farm, and at that farm they had multiple animals, including a camel. And we were sitting down having dates, having coffee, and the camel came along, and my tour guide and his brother started milking the camel in a bowl. And I thought, okay, wow, I think they're going to drink this. And they said it's very healthy, it's got multiple health benefits. I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. I didn't want to be too sort of British about it. So I had the milk, and in all honesty, it was actually quite nice. It was completely fresh, but it wasn't treated, it wasn't heated, but I had it, and it was quite nice. And then they filled up more and put it in a bottle for me, and I took it back to my hotel. I put it in the fridge in the hotel, and the next day I had the camel's milk with some cereal. And in all honesty, it was actually very nice. I've told a lot of people about this, and they were like, oh my gosh, you had camel milk? I said, yeah, and it was nice. So yeah, that's one of the most memorable experiences I've had in Saudi so far. I saw a lot of pictures on Wabad Creator on on the Instagram, and it looked like it was the moon, like it was absolutely crazy. And so I went hiking along Rubber Crater to the extent that we went down the crater and we got to the bottom, and it was very salty at the bottom, and I was collecting bits of the salt, and I was like, it was absolutely unreal. And then it was getting darker, so we climbed back up the crater. It was probably more strenuous than coming back down, and we camped. We had a very nice traditional Saudi camping experience. We ate camel meat, the meat from the camel probably we had the night before, and also, you know, we had dates, we had rice, and seeing the beautiful sunset over the crater. Yeah, that's not unlike anything I've experienced before. So I've been to Jeddah a few times. My first trip to Jeddah, I decided I was going to drive all the way from Eastern Province to Jeddah without stopping other than for fuel and for food. And that was an absolutely tremendous trip. And it was also quite scary, to be honest. It was, I had sandstorm, dust storm, there was rain, there was mist, and I just kept driving for 16 hours. And everyone that I've told that I did that they were thinking, what was on your mind doing that? But I like a challenge, and it's exciting to be on the road in Saudi. So that was my first trip to Jeddah. I went to the first ever Saudi Grand Prix in Jeddah in 2021, and I had a really amazing time, especially because Lewis Hamilton, the British driver, won. And then after the Formula One in 2021, there was a concert with Justin Bieber. I'm not a massive Justin Bieber fan, but it was cool to see him there. And there were some other international artists there. And I've also been to the Formula One in 2022 with my family who came along from the UK. And we had some more international artists came. Black Eyed Peas were there, and also Chris Brown was there. There's something about Jeddah that I like. I think it's the young vibe to it. It's very, I find it's got a hustle and bustle to it that I like about it. I've been to Jeddah a lot of times. I went to Balad and I liked it architecturally. I think there's a few art shops around there, and I'm into art, so I took pictures around there. It's quite Instagrammable, as we say, so it looks quite good on Instagram. And I can see that the government appear to be doing more work to make it more attractive to tourists, because there's one or two places which I think could do with a little bit of work, but I can see that the government's trying to, make it, more attractive to tourists. But yeah, I've been to Balad maybe 2 or 3 times. It's very good for taking pictures on Instagram. I get a lot of my ideas on things to do in Saudi Arabia based on Instagram. You go in to visit Saudi, then you see who they're following, you see who they like, and then before you know it, you spent the whole day on Instagram and you've got a whole list of things to do in Saudi. So yeah, a lot of the things that I've done in Saudi has been off the back of social media. I've been to so many different cities in Saudi Arabia: Jeddah multiple times, Riyadh, Tabuk, Taif, Abha, and I drive to most of these places and have to find somewhere to stay. I found that the hotels, if you do your research, you can find some good hotels. There's always good hospitality at the hotel. If the food is bad at the hotel, I always find somewhere good to stay. I try and eat where I think locals are eating, because that will usually be the best place to eat. Middle Beast is another story. I had seen it on Instagram a lot of times on social media, but the artists that were there weren't really my type of music. It was like kind of like electronic music. But then on Friday morning, I saw the hip hop artist Future was going to be performing in the evening. And I asked around to see if anyone wanted to come to me to drive from Eastern Province to Riyadh, and nobody was willing to make that decision quickly. So with about sort of 2 hours to spare, I calculated that if I just left my house there and then, I would get to see Future at Middle Beast on time, which I did. And yeah, I had a very, very good time there. It was a really good performance there. It was kind of like, it felt like you were in a festival in UK, to be honest. And Future gave a really good performance. And yeah, I had a good time at Middle Beast a lot. I think the good thing about traveling in Saudi Arabia is that there's not that many prohibitions to you traveling, because in the UK, I always have to think about the cost of getting onto a train or the cost of fuel or that kind of stuff. But in Saudi Arabia, it's quite free just to drive, and it's not as expensive as public transport in the UK or Europe. So yeah, I enjoy traveling with my car a lot. I think my car is my second best friend here, actually. My main day is giving legal advice. So I start around 7 o'clock, check my emails, talk to my team, and have a nice lunch. Hey, hi Ramiz.
How are you?
Nice to see you again.
Same here.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Lunchtime here is different to lunchtime in the UK. In the UK, you're expected to work for your lunch, whereas here in Saudi, people take their lunch and have a proper lunch, which I enjoy. And after lunch, I'll talk to my team, give people legal advice. I'm on the phone quite a lot also, because I've noticed that in Saudi Arabia, people want to see or hear from you, not just hide behind email. People want to see you. So as a lawyer, I make sure I always call my in-house clients and talk to them or go and meet them. Obviously it's harder because of COVID, but I would go and see them. And then my day ends around 4 o'clock, and after 4 o'clock I would usually go to the gym. So today we did a climbing activity, which I have to say is the first time I've ever climbed, ever. I've hiked before, like I explained, I've been to Taif and Tabuk, and I've also been to Abha, and I've hiked on each of those things, but I've never actually climbed. One thing about Saudi Arabia, I find that there's a lot of new activities are coming up. Like I know karting, hiking, like a lot of group activities that if you look for them, you can see them.
Hey, how are you?
Hi,
Welcome.
Hi, nice to meet you, Bosun.
Nice to meet you too, Abdulaziz.
Hi,
Welcome to
Abdulaziz.
Al-Fulwa and Al-Johar Museum.
All right. Today we went to like quite a cool museum that I'd heard about from my colleagues before, but I'd never been to before myself. The Jara Museum, and I was shown around by a quite nice guy, Abdulaziz, and he showed me a range of the Arabic coffee pots, the jadal, and it's different sizes, and it was amazing. There was thousands and thousands of them.
This one is from north of Saudi Arabia, especially in Hayil city. These dallas are nowadays is one of the most expensive dallas in Saudi Arabia for now, because it's rare. The most important item in the Islamic section, as you can see, is the cover. This is the cover of the Holy Mosque, and it was the last cover in King Fahd century. So this is one of the most valuable item in here in the museum.
And then Abdulaziz also showed me around the classic cars, and I quite like classic cars, so that was a really good experience being in that museum. It was like, I've never seen anything like that before. The collection on the memorabilia from all parts of the world, as well as Saudi Arabia, was like unbelievable. I think it's hard to pin it down to just one thing. I think I'll just miss the general experience here. I find it's a calming atmosphere to live in, I find, and people are generally hospitable, and I've never ever felt any kind of animosity or being uncomfortable living here. For instance, once my car broke down at like 1 a.m. And if that was maybe in the UK or Europe, people would just keep driving past me. But I had about four guys stop at 2 a.m. asking if they could help me. I couldn't really understand what they were saying because it's in Arabic. Unfortunately, I don't speak Arabic yet. But everyone wanted to stop and help me, and that is one experience I think that sums up my time in Saudi Arabia. I always know that if something goes wrong, people are generally nice and they'll try and help you out. So yeah, I think it's hospitality is what I'm going to miss the most. Yeah. Hi all guys, I know you've been watching me on my Instagram and you've seen me go hiking, you've seen me at Formula One, you've seen me camping in Saudi, so I guess you didn't think that there were these much kind of things to do in Saudi Arabia, but I can assure you, had a lot of fun here and yeah, get your passports and come along.